The ancient origins of Christmas. Long before the twinkling lights and wrapped presents we know today, long before the carols and the evergreen trees, there was winter. And with winter came darkness. The ancient world watched as the days grew shorter, as the sun retreated earlier each evening, and they wondered, would the light ever return? Let us travel back together, thousands of years into the past, to a time when our ancestors gathered around flickering fires and looked to the heavens for hope. Our story begins not with Christmas itself, but with humanity's oldest celebration of the winter season. For over 4,000 years, cultures across the ancient world marked the winter solstice, that magical turning point around December 21st when the longest night finally surrenders to the returning sun. This was humanity's first great winter festival, celebrated long before any religion claimed December as its own. Picture, if you will, the ancient forests of northern Europe, blanketed in snow, where the Germanic and Norse peoples gathered for a festival they called Yule. The Yule celebration was a 12-day festival that began on the winter solstice. Families would bring enormous logs into their homes, logs so large they could burn for the entire 12 days. They called these the Yule logs, and as the flames crackled and danced, families believed they were helping to coax the sun back to life. The warmth of those fires was both physical and spiritual, a promise that light would always return. Now let us travel south to the warm heart of the Roman Empire, where a very different kind of celebration was taking place. The Romans celebrated a festival called Saturnalia, honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture and time. This festival ran from December 17th to December 23rd, and during these days, the usual rules of Roman society were turned upside down. Masters served their servants. Gifts were exchanged among friends and strangers alike. Work stopped. Courts closed. It was a time of feasting, of merrymaking, of letting go of the ordinary world and embracing joy. And there was another Roman celebration that would prove even more important to our story. On December 25th, Romans celebrated the birthday of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. This holiday, established by Emperor Aurelian in the year 274 AD, marked the moment when the sun began its triumphant return, when the days would finally start growing longer again. The sun, the ancients believed, had conquered the darkness. It was a day of hope, of victory, of light overcoming shadow. Into this world of solstice celebrations and sun worship, a new faith was quietly growing. The earliest Christians did not celebrate the birth of Jesus at all. For the first 200 to 300 years of Christianity, followers of this new religion focused instead on Easter, on the resurrection, on the spiritual teachings of their faith. Birthdays, in fact, were seen by many early Christians as a pagan custom, something to be avoided rather than embraced. The date of Jesus' birth was unknown, and for the early church, it simply did not matter. But as Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire, something began to change. The first recorded date of Christmas being celebrated on December 25th appears in a Roman calendar from the year 336 AD, during the reign of the first Christian emperor, Constantine. Church leaders had chosen this date deliberately, thoughtfully, placing the celebration of Christ's birth directly alongside the pagan festivals of Saturnalia and Sol Invictus. The old celebrations of light and hope would slowly, gently, be transformed into something new. The very name of this new holiday tells us something beautiful about how it came to be. The word Christmas evolved from the Old English phrase, Christ's Mess, meaning simply Christ's Massachusetts. This term first appeared in written records around the year 1038 AD, though the celebration itself was already centuries old by then. Mass, of course, refers to the church service commemorating Jesus' birth, a midnight gathering of the faithful, candles flickering in the darkness, voices raised in praise as the world outside slept beneath the winter stars. As Christianity wove itself into the fabric of winter celebrations, something interesting happened. The old symbols did not disappear. They transformed. Evergreen plants, holly, ivy, mistletoe, and fir, had been sacred to pagan cultures for thousands of years. In the heart of winter, when all other trees stood bare and lifeless, these plants remained green and vibrant. Ancient peoples saw them as powerful symbols of eternal life, of nature's promise that death was never the end. Early Christians adopted these symbols, seeing in them a reflection of their own faith in everlasting life. The evergreen became a symbol not just of nature's resilience, but of spiritual hope. And what of the gift-giving that we now associate so deeply with this season? The tradition of exchanging gifts during the winter season traces back to the Roman Saturnalia, where small presents called strini were given as tokens of good luck for the coming year. These were humble gifts at first: candles, small figurines, simple foods. But the act itself carried profound meaning, a gesture of love, of connection, of shared humanity during the darkest time of year. This ancient custom would eventually merge with stories of the three wise men bringing gifts to the Christ child, creating the rich tradition of Christmas giving we know today. Our first chapter draws to a close with one final image, a scene that brought the ancient story into vivid, tangible life. In the year 1223, in the Italian town of Greccio, a gentle friar named Francis of Assisi created something the world had never seen before: a living nativity scene. On a hillside, with real animals and real people, Francis recreated the stable in Bethlehem. Villagers gathered in wonder, seeing for the first time the ancient story made flesh before their eyes. This simple act of devotion would spread across the Christian world, giving us the nativity scenes that still grace churches and homes 8 centuries later.